Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Hope you're full of vim and vigor and ready to go. So today we're going to start out with our resident life insurance guru, Ben Rowe, from ECA, and he's going to kind of give us the up and up of what's going on with the life insurance industry right now. Thanks, Ben.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Hope everybody had a good New Year. I just wanted to do a quick recap of some of the big things that happened during the year. Actually, it's been a pretty mild year as far as product changes and things go. A couple carriers had new products, very little repricing overall, and one of the biggest things was the illustration changes that affected the interest rates that could be illustrated. But as an overall impact to the business that we've seen, it's really been a non-issue. So not many big earth-shattering changes in the past year. One of the bigger changes is with underwriting for HIV. About 2 years ago, we've had a couple carriers that could do HIV cases in a very select instances. And I know just this December, somewhere December 1st or 2nd is World HIV Awareness Day. And a couple days after that, Prudential actually came out this year and said that they would be willing to look at some HIV risks. So I think we'll continue to see improvements there. Right now, I think the best offer they're probably looking at is Table 6, and that's in a very best case scenario. So if you have any cases you come across where someone is looking for that type of coverage on an HIV positive client, get in touch with me, because there's some forms that are formalities that have to be looked at before we could proceed with a case like that, and I can help walk through the process. Other than that, no other real big issues this year. Still, we've got a couple carriers that are really slow. American General is still behind. Lincoln Financial is behind. At year end, many other carriers are a few days to a week behind right now. But towards the beginning of this month, and certainly by February, the vacations of underwriters and case managers should be back to normal with the carriers. So I would expect most of those turnaround times to get back to the normal range. But right now we are seeing kind of across the board, the last 2 weeks of the year are very slow for processing. So if you have any issues that come up, we can get them escalated, but that's something that happens just very typical around this time of year. With some other carriers that are slow, even some carriers that have historically been very good, Banner and Genworth, they're even at that week to 10 days when we send things in to get it reviewed. So just know that going into cases, it may take a little bit longer here, but overall, most of the carriers are still doing a good job of keeping things up to date and getting things done. So we keep them honest, and we kind of take it as they go. Last issue I want to talk about, just a couple of other underwriting things that come up and have come up a little more frequently recently. The first one, just underwriting with children. So if you've got any minors, typically it's under the age of 18, carriers will only issue if they are standard or better. So if you've got a child that would have a rating for any impairment, whether it's diabetes or some psychiatric issues or a congenital birth defect, if it's a standard case, most carriers are fine to issue those. If it is a case that would have a rating, it can be very hard to place those cases. And that what's been happening, or what I've seen quite a few cases recently, is underwriting on kids with psychiatric issues. So they might have attention deficit disorder and maybe some depression. If there's one thing, sometimes we can get those done at standard. If it's two neurological impairments, it becomes a much tougher case unless it's something that's really well outlined in the records and they can feel comfortable about it. When you've got kids, they do look at school, and if a kid's on a behavior plan or a development plan at school, those are typically not acceptable cases for underwriting. Typically, they'd want to see no issues with school, very well adjusted, maybe some mild attention deficit or mild depression. But if there's anything more than that, where it for an adult it might carry a rating even of Table 2 or worse, typically those cases are not going to go until they're an adult and until it's stable. Now, when they're adult, they could get a case with a rating, but until then, they would not. The other thing that's come up, and this happens a little more too around the holiday times, people having elevated labs. And of course, it happens throughout the year. People forget that they went out to the bar and had a cigarette or a cigar. Different things like that as far as what can impact the lab results. Some things are simple, just an illness can impact it. Other things, if they have even one day of heavy alcohol use in the past few days, it can still throw their labs off. So those type of things, it's sometimes not as easy as, well, just explaining it. Sometimes they do have to have a follow-up with that doctor, get things resolved. And unfortunately, sometimes other bad things can happen. Different diagnoses can be made. They might have a string of follow-ups to resolve kidney issues or whatever the cause is. The hard thing with any time when there's a tobacco use and it's not disclosed, those become very difficult cases because any carrier can access other carriers' exams and labs for up to the past 2 years. So when they see something, typically there's going to be an MIB flag of tobacco use, and it's going to be a big red flag. So on those cases, sometimes it's just best to pick another carrier and admit to what happened and see what we can get. Other times there's carriers, depending on the situation, if it was cigar use or some other thing that led to the tobacco rating, sometimes we can have carriers that do have niches that could get them non-tobacco rates. Prudential is typically a go-to for that because they only consider tobacco rates for actual regular cigarette smokers. They do non-tobacco for cigar, chew, snuff, e-cigarettes, anything like that. Even marijuana, they will go up to non-smoker plus. So just keep that in mind if you get people with the lab elevations and want to see that case somewhere else. That's really what I had for you today. If there's any questions, I can answer them now.
Let's see. It's pretty quiet. I think everybody's still getting in the groove. Well, Ben, I can't tell you how lucky we feel to have somebody of your expertise available. And guys, if you're doing life, there's nobody better than Ben to, your life marketer's there, but Ben's a great guy to help us get more difficult or involved cases through. So we appreciate you very much, Ben.
Great. Thank you.
Have a good one. Okay. So a couple things happening here. First is we're going to have a new, improved site. So we've actually gone through our first, just so you guys know, the site has been up for 15 years. There's been a lot of changes in technology in the last 15 years, and it was getting on its last leg. So we had to invest $100,000 into developing a new 5Q website to make it nice and solid for you guys so it would never go down, and then we fixed a lot of glitches and things like that. So Missy, could you kind of come in and let us know what we can expect?
Yeah, absolutely. So as with anything, we've certainly done all of the process of checking and debugging and everything up on our side as best as possible. But that being said, it is software, it is technology. We're not expecting this to be a debacle, but we want to prepare you guys. We're planning to launch on Monday, the 11th, so a week from today at 8 o'clock in the morning. That would be Central Time. We are using the weekend leading up to it, the 9th and the 10th, as our maintenance window to transfer over all of the content from the old site to the new site. And so when we don't anticipate that it's going to take those 2 solid days by any means. So the good news is when you come into the new site, or when you come into the members login, so you'll access it the exact same way that you are today. We're moving everything from the new development site over onto the exact place that you access it today. You're going to have a notice that looks like this, and it's going to ask you to reset your password. We have no way of transferring over any of your credentials, so everyone will start from scratch with an email address as your username, which many of you already have your email address as your username. Some of you had very long email addresses, which the old system would not accept, and therefore we had updated them to something shorter, everyone will revert to an email address as your username. So even those of you that are not using an email address, it will go to the normal email address that we communicate with you on. That will be your username, and you'll go ahead and reset your password. You can use the exact same password, you just have to put it into the site. So the screen will look much like what's on your screen right now. When you set your password, you'll be able to access the site immediately. So if you come in and you don't see the maintenance window on there, you know that we're complete and we're ready to go. So our plan is January 11th, if you haven't already set your password by that point, come in on January 11th, and we'll give you lots of reminders between now and then, so you can expect to receive several emails from us. So we just want to make sure that anything that you would need proposal-wise over the weekend, of course, or I would even suggest the first or the second day after we've launched, so the 11th or the 12th, go ahead and just pull those off the system, save them to your computer, just so that we don't run into an issue where for some reason you get locked out and there's an issue or whatever. We would just want to make sure that anything that is coming up in the next couple of days after we launch, so I would say anywhere between the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. If you have any second appointments that you've already prepared the proposal for them, pull those off. Just make sure you've saved that PDF copy, and then you'll have them. Everything that's already in your account will transfer over. So you'll have access to everything that was already in your account will transfer over. There's just a few cosmetic changes that we've done. And so when you come, the look and feel of the site is in general very similar. The navigation is cleaned up a little bit where it's more of an expandable navigation. So instead of seeing the entire green bar as you see it today, you'll see it more in broken out categories. You'll hit the category and it will expand the additional categories below it. So just kind of trying to get a little bit of a different look and feel. We've also done a little different look and feel on our 21-point checklist. So don't be, it's much of the same content, it's just that it's a little bit updated for the pictures, the images, the icons, those kinds of things. A big part of an update is in the appendice of the 21-point checklist, we have added the ID theft section. And the FTC actually offers these beautiful bound booklets that we're suggesting that you utilize. Now, we've put a PDF version into the appendice as well, but because some of you are going to immediately look at the length of it and say, what, I can't print all this out, the FTC at free of charge will ship you these beautiful booklets. And I would recommend that you guys each go out and order these so that you don't have to print this portion of the appendice. They're extremely nice, completely in color. It doesn't cost you a thing. So you're not out anything to just go ahead and put this order in.
Can I jump in there a second?
Yep.
And guys, this is the same booklet that we're recommending you use for the CPA program. So you should just go ahead and order this. It gives you immediate credibility. It's a beautiful booklet, and it's free of charge. And you're going to use it for the CPA program if you're going to do that anyway. So it'd be a good thing for you to order and have that done, and it saves you a little bit of money. So sorry.
Yep, no problem. And so right now on our current site, we've placed this exact page, and so you can go there, click on the link. We ordered some to our office, and it didn't take very long, but I would say go ahead and place your order. It is a minimum of 80, which sounds funny. They actually ship them in very large quantities, but they don't. There's nothing in the booklet that is going to be obsolete in the next short while. So definitely just order the minimum of 80, or you can order more if you have a lot more that you'd like to utilize. To find where to order these, if you go on our current site underneath disclosure meeting, preparing for the disclosure meeting, on the left green navigation bar, there's a link right there that says ID theft booklet. When you click on there, the link to order is right there. You just click it. All you have to do is put in your name, address, where they're going to ship them, tell them how many you want, and they're just going to arrive right at your office. So it's super easy to do.
So where is that again, Missy?
Yep, underneath preparing for disclosure meeting.
Okay.
And then it's ID theft booklet.
You guys all see that? Can I get some yes? Oh, absolutely, Bob. Bob's saying, can we put a sticker on it saying it's presented by? Absolutely do that. Yes, absolutely. Thanks, guys. I see people are saying yes to that, so that's good. And any questions on that, guys? And again, there'll be lots of updates, and we've been clicking through, and they're making sure things are working and there's no broken links. But obviously, no matter how often you do that, we're going to see some of those. So as you come across those, just shoot us an email and let us know what those are come next week, okay? Any questions? What sticker? Somebody was just asking, hey, could I put a sticker saying courtesy of Kaslick and Clark, it's identifying me as the person who gave him that book, and just slap it on the front. Yep, yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. That's what we're talking about there with the sticker. Oh, one question, how long did it take to get those booklets?
I think we got ours within probably a week to 10 days. It was quick.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions on that? And again, there won't be a lot of changes, be slight changes. More of what we've done is, it's with the house. The sad thing is when we spent well over $100,000, we're not going to get a huge amount of changes to it because, first of all, that's going to cause a whole new relearning period for you, in which we did not want to do. But the other thing is it's like fixing the foundation of your house and the roof of your house and getting a new water heater, all those things. They don't add to the beautification of your house, but they make sure your house is what? Functional, yes, solid. And that's what we've done. So that, because it was getting to the point where we're putting patches on patches on patches on the website, so we didn't want to tell you that and freak you out. So we've done this to make sure it's solid, and it'll be solid for the next 15 years. So any questions, concerns before we go forward? Here we go. So we're at the beginning of 2016, so what should we be doing? Well, I just want you to focus on a few things, and I came across this article about how to create more successful habits. And the reason I want to talk about that is those of you that worked with me for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, am I a big fan of goals or of systems? Let's see how many of you yeah, I got a lot of veterans here who systems, exactly, systems. Because goals, you guys are awesome, thank you. Everybody's saying systems. Because goals, guess what? I'm going to make $1 million this year. I'm 3 months in, I'm only at $100,000. What do? What do most people do? I'm going to make $1 million a year. This is my goal. Yeah, I give up and say, I guess I'll start next year. So I've never set goals for myself. I've never, ever set goals. What I've done, though, is I've set systems in place, whether it's for when I was wrestling and I wanted to get better at wrestling. I never had a goal, whether it was when I was the year I made $1 million. I didn't have a goal of making $1 million. All I did is put the systems in place that allowed me to make that million. Because the thing about a system, well, first of all, do a goal. Do I have any control over a goal? No. There's too many outside things that are occurring. But do I have control over a system? Because a system is made up of what? What is a system made up of? Yeah, it's made up of actionable items. That's right, Michael. Actionable items for activity. Those things I can control. And here's the magical thing. It does not take huge changes in how you run your day it does not take huge changes in how you run your day to make huge changes in your success. That's the great thing. You can make tiny little changes that can have huge effects in your success. And so one of those, well, I'm going to talk about that here in a second. Think big, start small. If I haven't run a mile ever, how do they suggest I learn to run the mile? Just say, you know what, Monday I'm going to start running a mile. Put on my shoes and run that first mile. No, all the things that I've read about that says, hey, run for 10, 15 seconds, then walk for 4 or 5 minutes. Then run for 10, 15 seconds, and walk for 4 or 5 minutes. And then the next day I do what? Instead of running for 10, 15 seconds, I run for 30 seconds. And I walk for 4 or 5 minutes. So you do it a little bit at a time, because if I just jump in, What's going to happen? I'm going to change my whole life today. What's going to happen? I'm going to give up. So start small, but think big. And what's the small activity that I want you guys to do? What's the small activity I want you guys to do? What's the one activity that changed me? What's the one activity that got me from making 50 grand a year to $1 million a year? Somebody got it. Let me see. You're going so fast here. Now again, Bobby's got it. All the Bobs got it. Bob haven't done it. Wow, that's amazing. The 3 Bobs got it. That is to do. Well, that's a strange thing. All 3 Bobs got it. Not that Bob's strange, but it's the 3 guys that got it were all my Bobs. So here we go. Go to Toolbox and do the most important 15 minutes daily. And that's a little document that's going to walk you through doing a tape review every single day. Every single day. When I went from making $50,000 a year to $1 million a year in basically 2.5 years, what changed was every single day, Monday through Friday, I did a tape review before I left the office. I did a tape review before I left the office. Now here's the funny thing. In the first 8 years, I never made more than $50,000. So how much had I learned from the end of the first year to the end of the eighth year? How much better had I gotten? If I made $50,000, if going from first year to 8th year, I never made more than $50,000. From the end of the first year to the end of the 8th year, how much better had I gotten? Nothing. It was like the same thing over and over and over, right, Brad? Same thing over and over and over. But so in 8 years, I hadn't made any improvements. But the week, I started to redo my tape reviews just for 15 minutes. Just for 15 minutes a day, Monday through Friday. Didn't work on the weekends, Monday through Friday, 15 minutes a day. So I spent a total of what? How much time did I spend that week then? 15 minutes a day. How much total time? An hour and 15 minutes. Yeah. But how much better had I gotten in that 1 week as compared to the previous 8 years? I got a lot better in 1 week as compared to what I'd done in the previous 8 years. So that 15 minutes, remember, it's not listening to a tape for 15 minutes. It's taking a tape, preferably a 21-point checklist with a prospect client. If you don't have that, a first meeting with a client or prospect. If you don't have that, a solution meeting. If you don't have that, an annual review. But something where you're talking to people, that's the preferred. And then I'm going to look for these things, not using GOTS, making statements instead of questions. I'm asking questions, looking for open instead of close-ended. All of these things. We're at the very bottom. It says messing up the script. So what does that tell you? When I'm doing my 15 minutes, am I looking for making sure I know the script, or am I working on my selling skills, my communication skills? So I'm only listening to a tape for maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes before I stop it, and that's all the tape listening I'm doing. Just until I find one thing I'm doing wrong or one thing I could be doing better, I stop the tape. That might take at most 2 minutes. I remember here when I was showing you the closing presentation about 2 weeks ago. That's your training tape. And did I find things that after inventing this system, doing it for 17 years, did I find things in that training tape that I did wrong? Yeah. And so if I'm doing things wrong and can find those, guess what? We know on your tapes. You are too. So then stop the tape, and then for the rest of whatever remains of that 15 minutes, for 12 minutes, 13 minutes, 14 minutes, whatever remains of that 15 minutes, practice what you should have done out loud. What should I have done out loud? If I should have asked open question, I'm going to ask open-ended question, open-ended question, open-ended question, same one over and over and over and over and over. I'm creating muscle memory. So I've had guys ask questions. Can I do this on the drive home? So what do I tell them when they ask me, can you do this on your drive home? Brad's got it. Bert's got it. Yeah, Jim's got it. No, you cannot do this on your way home. I want you to be what? I want you to be totally locked in and thinking and focused on doing this right. So it's an hour and 15 minutes a week, 15 minutes a day. Is that a huge commitment or a small commitment? But you know what that will do, that small commitment? You know what that's going to do for you? That small commitment will take you to $1 million a year. It did for me. Did for me. So how do you do that? Well, you need to, if you want to make that a habit, you need to tie it to a current behavior. So maybe you don't want to do it at night because you have too many excuses at night. Maybe you want to do it in the morning. So find something that you do every single day. When you come to the office, what are some things that you do every single day when you come to the office? Just give me some examples. There's no right answer to this. What do you guys do? Something you do every single day. Drink coffee, that's a good one. So when I pour my first cup of coffee, guess what I'm going to do? Before I answer any phones or get any email, anything, guess what I'm going to do? Do my 15 minutes. If I check my email before, I know that that's what I'm going to do. Before I can even look at my email, guess what I'm going to do? My 15 minutes. Or at the end of the day, before I tie this 15 minutes to a behavior you're already doing. If it's grabbing your keys at the end of the day, guess what that grabbing your keys at the end of the day should clue you into? I need to do my 15 minutes. Okay? So does that get it? So this is not, is this 15 minutes I'm talking about? Is it learning the event? Is it learning the scripts? Is that what I'm talking about here with this 15 minutes a day? No. That's right. Good, good, good. No, I'm not. This 15 minutes is about reviewing a tape with you with another human being and seeing and making sure you're learning a new skill or getting better at a new skill every single day. Okay? And well, here's the thing, and some people are saying reviewing my performance. Am I really reviewing my performance here, guys, with this 15-minute drill? Because how much of the tape am I actually listening to? At most, how much of the tape am I actually listening to? 2 minutes. So that's not much of a review, right? So really, it's not me reviewing my performance. What it's doing is working on a skill. I'm only reviewing the tape to find one skill I could get better at. Then I turn off the tape and I work on that skill and drill and drill and drill and drill and drill. So it creates a muscle memory. So the next time I run into that with a client, it's just going to pop into my head. I'm going to be that much better at it. Does that make sense? But tie it to a behavior to make it a habit. Now here's the thing. Some people say to learn to do this, you should reward yourself when you do it properly. You know, it's like with kids. They get a gold star when they do something right. Some people that works well for. But let's say that I've had a hard day. I've dealt with a couple of problems. I've dealt with a difficult case. I'm not feeling real well. 5 o'clock comes around, and I decide what? Geez, if I don't do my 15 minutes, I don't get a gold star. How will that affect me? You're right, Jim. It didn't affect me. It didn't say, well, you know what? Gold star, schmoldra star. Who needs that? I'll do it tomorrow. So I don't work myself. I don't work with carrots. I work with sticks. To make myself do something, I don't give myself a little pat on the back, a little whatever. I use a stick for myself. And here's the stick I used to make sure that at the end of every day, when I finally hit rock bottom, quit the business for about a day before my wife and my best client talked to me about staying in, I said, well, I got to make some changes. I'm going to do that by getting better, and I'm going to do that by listening to these tapes. When I made that commitment, here's what I said to myself. I said, in order to make that, because the first week I did that, guess how many times I did it? The first week I said, I'm going to listen to these tapes every single week. Guess how many I did? Think I did all 5 days? Yeah, I did it. You're right, John, not too far away. I did about 2 or 3 days, and I said, this ain't working. So I'm not a very disciplined person, so I have to force myself to be disciplined. So I used the stick, and here's the stick I used. I said, you know what? I found a charity that I totally disagreed with, a charity that I loathed, a charity that I thought everything they stood for was the opposite of what I stood for. And then I said, you know what? If I don't do this, every day that I do not do this 15-minute drill, I'm going to write them a $100 check. So every day I don't do one of my 15-minute drills, I'm going to write them a $100 check. Guess how many checks I wrote? 1. I wrote 1. And that was very painful. To write a $100 check to somebody that I disagree with everything they stand for, that's painful. So I find for myself, not getting a gold star, it had no effect on me. But writing a check for $100 to somebody I totally loathed, that was horrible, and I would not do that. So that's how I kept myself accountable. And what I did, did I trust myself did I trust myself to hold myself accountable? That if I didn't do that 15-minute drill, that I would write that check for $100? No, because if I did that, guess what I did? Oh, I came with all sorts of excuses on why I didn't do the 15 minutes. So guess what? I asked my wife to be my accountability partner. And every night she'd ask me, hey, did you do your 15-minute drill? I asked her to do that for me because it was somebody to hold me accountable. I don't care if it's your assistant. I don't care if it's your wife. I don't care if you want to send me or Jeff or Jerry or Missy an email and let us know that you're being accountable for doing this 15 minutes. Find somebody who's going to hold you accountable. Otherwise, we are weak creatures, humans are. And we're going to find all sorts of excuses on why we couldn't have done something that we should have done. Make sense? See, accountability is what really is the difference between the heroes and the zeros, the winners and the losers. Because if you don't hold yourself accountable, you're going to blame others. You're going to blame the extenuating circumstances. You're going to blame the environment. You're going to blame all sorts of things. Accountable people own it, and they know that the only reason something doesn't get done is because of them, and that's really liberating. That's a really liberating. Why is it really liberating to be accountable for all of your results? Why is that a liberating? Once you've surrendered to that, why is that an extremely liberating thing to do? See if anybody can get this. Bob, I think you have it. I want you to be more specific, though. Yeah, I think you're all. Thank you, Terry. That's right, Kevin. I'm in control. If I blame everything else, am I in control over the environment? Am I in control over what other people do? Am I in control of it? The only thing I'm in control of is one thing. That's me. So when I finally started to listen to these 15-minute tapes and say, you know what, these people, I have something these people want. If they don't get it, I'm the only thing that's that's preventing them from getting it. So I have to improve myself. When I finally surrendered to that, I found it extremely liberating because it was something that I could control. And control is a very liberating. Now, did I have to eat my ego to do that, guys? So it was a give and take. Because I had to surrender my ego and admit that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. I didn't communicate as well as I thought that I sounded like a jerk. I didn't like the way that I sounded. I had to deal with that part. But on the other hand, I thought, geez, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. That means I'm going to make more money as I get better. That's it's a system, a 15-minute investment in a system that made me tons of money and will make you tons of money. The other thing you have to understand is this. If you look at this eye chart, it should give you the understanding that, hey, can we always, on any particular day, can I come up with an excuse for not doing my 15-minute drill? Oh, I didn't expect that call to come in. Oh, one of my clients died. I have to do the paperwork. Oh, I'm not feeling well today. Oh, blah, 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 blah. If it's 5 o'clock and I haven't done my 15-minute drill, what do I need to do? How long do I need to work? If it's 6 o'clock and I haven't done my 15-minute drill, how long do I need to work? If it's 7 o'clock and I haven't done my 15-minute drill, how long do I need to work? That's if you're serious about your business. And if you can't, guys, and I want everybody on the call to answer this. What would you call anybody who wouldn't invest 15 minutes a day in their business? What would you call that person? I got lots of words I would call them. We got lazy, dumb, not serious, slacker. Yeah, I mean, guys, how much money can we make in this industry? And we won't invest 15 minutes a day? That's crazy. So guess what one of the questions Jeff is going to ask you, and I'm going to ask you, and JV at ECA and Jerry's going to ask you going into 2016. Guess what question we're going to ask you continually every time we talk to you? Have you done your 15? Yep. What you learned on your last 15? What topic did you do? Now, why are we doing that? To be mean? Because this is 15 minutes we're talking about that can change your life. It changed mine. It changed mine. And if you're serious about wanting coaching, all we're asking is did you do your 15 minutes a day of homework? Does that seem fair? And don't let things happen that make excuses for you not doing it. There is no excuse for not doing the 15-minute drill? Will you see immediate results from this? I'd say yes. I saw immediate results from it, because if I got just better at one thing, on Monday I practiced that one thing, what did I know about the next time that thing came up? I was ready for it. So it didn't change my whole meeting process, my whole communication process, but I did get better at that one thing. That's an immediate result, right? Got better at that one little thing. But just think about this. Over a week, over a month, over a year, I've gotten better at 250 plus things. How much money would you make, guys, if you got better at 250 plus things and communicating with clients and prospects over a year? How much money do you think you're going to make? 10% more or 2 or 3 times more? A lot more, 2 or 3 times more. Because you're going to make more progress in a year. I would agree, Brad, 5 times more. You're going to make more progress in a year than you've made in your whole entire career. Because not just you guys, me and everybody else, how much progress does the average advisor make in getting better at communicating over a 20-year career? How much better did he get every single year? That's right, because all we're doing is what? Doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. But by doing this 15-minute drill, you're getting better every single day. Make sense? Now, when should you learn this? The 15 minutes is not for the scripts. You should be learning the scripts at other times, during the day or during the night or whatever it may be. And again, we talked at the beginning of December. December was the perfect month to learn and buckle down and get those scripts locked down. And I know I talked to a lot of guys, and they did that. And I talked to a lot of guys who said they were going to do that. But you have to be honest with yourself. Did you really do that? Did you really lock down those skills in December? Do you have the 21-point checklist locked down? You ask nothing but questions? You ask nothing but open-ended questions? You got those things down like that? And if you don't, what should you be doing? Studying. But you know what? But I go home and I'm tired. I don't want to study. I need my fix of football. I need my fix of playing with a dog. Or I need my fix of... Guys, yeah, you can, again, you're in charge of how much you want to make. That 15 minutes is terrific. It's going to make you a better communicator. The scripts are going to make that communication, put that communication on steroids. So please do that. And my friend Dan here gave me a great story here last it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so Dan, thanks for this. Guys, here's the thing. There was this college student, and he was complaining to his buddy, saying, "Man, I'm in trouble. I'm failing out at college. My parents are gonna cut off the money. I'm gonna have to drop out of school. And it all rides on this next test. I mean, if I at least nail this next test, I'll pass, and my parents will not cut off the money. So I gotta do great on this big test, but these tests are so hard." And the friend said, "Well, do this then. Just go ahead and do this. Instead of next weekend partying, starting at 12 on noon on Friday and partying your way right through till 8 o'clock on Monday, instead of doing that, why don't you take one weekend off of partying and study? You're a smart guy. Don't party. Take 48 hours, bust your butt, and study. Go to the library. Bring all the books. If it's a make or break, go to the library and study." And so this guy says, "Okay, I guess I might as well give it a shot." So he takes the weekend off, and he studies, and he does no partying, and he's just hammering the books, and he ends up just nailing the test, aced the test. And his friend thought he was kind of gloating, and said, "See? What'd I tell you?" And this guy who was going to flunk out tells his friend, "What you told me was worthless information. It was stupid. What you told me was horrible. I mean, what a waste of time, what you told me. That didn't, you know what? You should never have given me that telling me to go study." And his friend saying, "Well, what are you talking about? Why are you jumping on me?" And this kid who was flunking out of class who aced the test said, well, I didn't need to study. That was the easiest test I ever took. So what's my point there? What's my point? Is it really hard? Is the 21-point checklist really hard? Is asking open-ended questions really hard? No, because we've already created all those things for you, and all you need to do is what? Learn them. Does that make sense? So thanks for sharing that with me, Dan. So I want to talk a little bit about, in the remaining minutes, a little bit about the 21-point checklist, because the most distressing question to me that I'll get once or twice a week is this. Hey, Mike, I got this client, and let me tell you about him. Blah, 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 blah. Should I do a 21 on them? And what do I say? So the last 2 years, the year I made 667, 967, I did 181 case analysis, or I saw 181 clients, brought on 181 clients. How many 21s did I do out of those 181? Yeah. You know, and some of them came to me from referrals. Some of them came to me because I saw an article written about me, or some of them came to me because I wrote articles. Some of them came to me for all sorts of reasons. Some of them just wanted to move their 401k or their TSA or their 403b. But what did I say to all of them? This is my process, because I had a what? A goal or a what? I had a goal, I had a system, and everybody was going through the system. Everybody was going through the system. So, and then guys will say, yeah, but let me tell you, this, that, or the other thing. Here's why I don't think I should do it. Well, should I do all of the 21 or part of the 21? And if I'm only going to do part of the 21, which part should I do, the financial or the non-financial? The non, exactly. So let's talk about just one part of that. Let's talk about the umbrella liability policy. So the reason we talk about the umbrella liability policy, do we sell umbrellas, guys? Most of us. Some of us are P&C licensed, but most are not. So we don't sell it, so why do we cover them? Well, we're going to change their negative thought about us, because when they first come in, they think we're going to sell them something, and we don't. We're there to help. And we walk them through all these non-financial things. But they're still in the back of their mind, they're still thinking, he's still, I don't understand this. He's helping me, but there's got to be some sort of catch here. So what we do is we're going to take one last shot at changing that negative idea that we're salespeople instead of as consultants that we actually are, and change it to, you know what, this guy truly is a consultant. I should quit thinking of him as a salesperson. He truly is a consultant. That's the reason we do the umbrella as well as helping them. We're creating and building that trust. We're building that trust. So if they don't have an umbrella, it's pretty easy. We have a script for them, and Jeff never gets questions about, hey, they don't have an umbrella, what should I do? Because you all know, oh, great, they have an umbrella, don't have an umbrella liability insurance. I know how to go through this script. Hey, we talk about the importance of, we have the client tell us the importance of a liability or umbrella liability protection. We compliment them having great assets. Then we walk them through a story where, hey, even our friends, when they trip on a garden hose, say they're going to what? They joke that they're going to sue you. Then what if a stranger, if our friends joke about it, what are strangers going to do? And then we walk them through this why, and they're going to have them explain to us why umbrella is such a good thing to have, and then we're going to send them back to who? Their current advisor. So then Jeff, if you get in here for a second, do you ever have, when you're helping guys with 21s, you really don't get anybody saying, hey, should I cover this umbrella or not, if they don't have an umbrella, do you?
No, I never get that, and I never get questions about that.
But if they have one, hopefully they're asking you, but we've seen a lot of 21s, Jeff, where they didn't even bother. If they have an umbrella, they don't even ask you or I. They just assume what? Oh, they have an umbrella, so I can what?
No, I'm not going to cover that.
I'm not going to cover that. Guys, you should be covering all 21 issues possible. So let's just look at one example of that. Let's say they already have an umbrella policy. So should I cover that or should I not cover that if they already have an umbrella? I'm giving you lots of hints here. Yes, we cover it. Do we have a script for that, John, if they have one? Yeah, we do. So here's what we're talking about. Here's the script. So if they have umbrella, there's two problems if they have an umbrella. One is, does their umbrella cover penalty, or what do you call it, Jeff?
Punitive damages.
Punitive, not penalty damages, but punitive damages. Does it cover that? Also, if they have a trust, will their policy cover the items that are inside the trust? Most do not. So what are we doing here? Regardless of that, when you ask, Jeff, when advisors over the last 15 years have asked their clients that have umbrella these questions, how many people knew the answer to that?
No, universally they say, you know what, I'm not sure.
So if they're not sure, does that work to ask them this question?
Oh, absolutely. It gets them them questioning whether or not their umbrella is really what they thought it was or what it needs to be.
And it's one more thing that who hasn't brought up to them?
Oh, their advisor.
Guys, how quickly could a lawsuit wipe out somebody's entire life savings? Doesn't matter whether they have $5 million, $1 million, or $500,000 or $50,000. How quickly can a lawsuit wipe all that out? Because once that attorney finds out how much you have, if you have $5 million, what are they going to go for? $5 million. If you have $500,000, what are they going to go for? $500,000. So it doesn't matter how much money you have; they're going to go for all of it. And in today's world, this is something we should or should not worry about. So even if they have it, asking them this question says that you take what they do seriously. Now, here's the other thing we're doing, though. There's a couple of purposes to do the umbrella. One is to make sure that one small misstep doesn't wipe out 40 years of work. So they need this. This thing could cause them, their family, and their pocketbook huge amounts of problems if they do not have this, if it's not done correctly. Okay? The second reason we're doing that is this, is we're going to sell it hard. We're making sure they understand that we have not 100% belief in having umbrella. We have 110% belief in having umbrella. Why? When we start to do that, we're maybe a half an hour into the non-financial, and they're like, aha! I knew he was a what? Salesperson. And then as soon as we have them convinced that we're a salesperson trying to get them to sell umbrellas, what do? Psych. Go back to who? The guy who sold you your car insurance. He's your guy. Why do we do that? Why do we want them to believe that we're going to sell them this and then send them back to their guy? What does that do? That's right, Bert. They realize that they were on their side. We're saying, oh, they have a little discussion with themselves. I need to quit misjudging Mike. He actually is here to help me. I keep thinking he's going to try to sell me something. And all he's doing is every time I think he's trying to sell me something, he just simply what instead? He helps me. See, first of all, they need this. Second of all, we need to have them understand that their current advisor isn't even looking at something that could wipe them out completely. And third thing is we need to have them misjudge us that, hey, we actually are here to help and not here just to sell them something. Does that make sense? So this is a very important part of the meeting. So when it comes to the 21-point checklist, though, when I say the umbrella is a very important part of the meeting, how many of the 21 do I think are a very important part of the meeting? Exactly, all 21. I approach every single item as if that's the only reason I can get them to come aboard. When I'm covering the survivor's guide, I act like that's the only thing that I can offer them. I act like this is the one chance that I have to get them to come on board. That's how serious I take it. When I'm doing the power of attorney, I take it with the same seriousness. When I'm doing the quality of life directive, I'm acting as if that's the only thing that I have to leverage to get them to come on board. Do you get what I'm saying there? I treat every single one of these items as if that's the only reason I get them to come on board. So sometimes I'm gonna hit it out of the park. Sometimes I'm gonna swing and miss. But I'm always shooting for a home run on every single one of these items. What does that prevent me from not doing? That was a double negative, wasn't it? Rushing through it, Bert. Skipping it, or treating it as if, hey, this is a good idea. If you treat these 21 items as if they're good ideas, what will people do for good ideas? Nothing. They have to understand that each one of these things, any one of these things, have dire consequences to them, their family, or their pocketbook. And what we're going to add in there, Jeff?
Here's what I was going to say. I'll tell you what the most disappointing question that I get on a weekly basis is this. Hey, let me tell you about this client, blah, 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 blah. Should I do a 21? And then we walk through all the reasons that you should, and then they say, yeah, I was pretty sure you were going to say that. I just wanted to hear that from you, I guess. And I'm disappointed because you're going to do it because I think it's important. But you still don't think it's important. And guys, you're going to have to at some point buy into this and embrace it, because you're not going to have success until you think it's important. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that it's important. You need to go in there knowing that it's important. Here's what I would tell you. Research Magazine said, hey, wow, we've never seen anything like this. Could this possibly be the secret sauce? And the guy who invented motivational interviewing was like, wow, I can't believe somebody is using this powerful thing in this way. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it. We've had 7 finalists and 3 winners of Senior Market Advisor of the Year, and they're all like, wow, all my success is because of this 21. We've had other FMOs thinking, wow, we got to get our hands on that and see if we can't steal part of that, because this thing is so powerful. And I still get questions, do I really need to do that?
So when Jeff and I get a little irritated when you ask us that, do you understand why, guys? The reason I made $1 million is because of the 21. The reason we've had guys make more than me. We've had 13 guys make more than me. And they all did it because they were awesome at the 21. They didn't say, hey, I used the 21 when it was necessary. But most of the other times I took shortcuts. Guess what they did? They had a system. And they used it every single time. Every single time. Yeah, Bob says, I used the light version. Now they want the full 21. See, it makes you look different. It shows that you care. It communicates something we can't otherwise communicate. And the biggest thing is we're not just using the beauty pageant mentality that, hey, I'm smarter, I'm funnier, I care more. Because can we prove that, guys? Can we prove that we're smarter, funnier, care more? No. So it's not about us. It has to be about them and their current relationship, whether it was with an entity or an advisor. So yes, we want you to do all the 21. And if you've got questions that I don't know how I could, all their money's in the bank. How do I deal with that? Don't just assume you don't do any of these things. Call Jeff, call myself, we'll show you. There are ways to use the 21 here's another one. My benefit, they don't have any children. So the beneficiaries, I'm not going to cover that because they don't have children. Guys, if they don't have children, it becomes even more important. Because if they don't have children and they don't do the beneficiaries right, who's going to inherit their money? Who's going to tie their money up in courts forever? Yeah, the big G, the government, their state of residence. It's even more important. I talked about it earlier. What if all their money's in a trust, except for do people put their checking accounts in trusts generally? No. So what if they only have a tiny little account? They only have a $10,000 account in their in a situation where they're worried about titling. So only $10,000 in joint with rights to survivorship, and it's at the bank, and it's nothing to do with their advisor. We talked about this 6 months ago. There's actually a training under the Friday coaching calls on dealing with this. What if it's only $10,000? What do we do? We still do. That's right. Well, it still proves that their advisor is not what? Giving advice. It proves that their advisor says, anything that doesn't deal with me, I can give a rat's patootie about it. I don't care if that causes you and your family problems. We cover it. So if you have situations where you don't know how something would work, whether it's beneficiaries or titling or whatever, call Jeff or myself and we'll do our darndest to find a way to still utilize that. Sometimes it's only going to be a single instead of a home run on that particular issue because of their situation. But guys, why would we still want to do a single for example, on titling. Why would I still want to cover that, even if it was only $10,000 out of their $1 million? Why would I still want to cover that? It's only a single. Heck, it's only a walk. Not even a single. Cumulative, it's still something as referrals. Yeah. So here's the thing. If I'm an attorney and I'm presenting a case, do I ever say, oh, yeah, well, that evidence there, yeah, it's going to help us a little bit, but not all that much. I guess I'll leave that out. Well, would you want to hire that attorney, guys? See, it's the mortar that's building the foundation of the relationship, their understanding of the relationship they have with their current guy. So am I going to leave out even the tiniest of little pieces of evidence? No. Make sense? So don't ever, 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 ever skip any of the 21 issues before you talk to Jeff or myself, and we'll show you how to utilize them, even if it's only going to be a single or a walk instead of a home run. Does that make sense? Cool. So was this helpful, guys? Does this answering some of your questions on why Jeff and I are constantly saying do the 21 and do all of the 21? Super. Well, I can't tell you how excited I am about 2016. Stick close to us. Do your 15 minutes a day. Commit. Get used to Jeff and JV and Jerry and I asking you about that and Missy asking you about that doing the 15, because this should be your biggest year ever. You have the tools in your hands. Now who's responsible? Now that the tools are in your hands, who's responsible? We are here at 5Q. We are. And you're right. You guys are. Make sense? So I appreciate all you guys. I'm looking forward to a great 2016, and we'll talk to you all on Friday. Thanks, everybody.